So glad you're with us for the Thursday edition of the Martini Lunch. A lot of heavy topics today. The one at the end won't be too bad, but we'll be talking about Phillip Rivers potentially returning to the NFL after 5 years off. But the bigger issue is that every time Phillip Rivers is in the news, people just endlessly mock the fact that he's got 10 kids. Why is that? We're going to dig into that. We're also going to, and what it says about our society also. We're also going to be looking at President Trump's insistence that there only be one set of AI rules, regulations, and he wants to sign an executive order to forbid states from setting their own AI regulations. He says there should be one set so AI companies don't have to deal with 50 different sets of negotiations. But there's a big argument for why not to do that too. And in just a moment, we're going to talk about how Erika Kirk is finally speaking out against the absolutely unhinged conspiracy theories about how Charlie Kirk was murdered. But before we get to that, which we will in just a second, whether you're planting now or later, Fast Growing Trees has everything you need to make your dream yard a reality, starting with the best quality and selection of plants delivered to your door. And the Columbus family has benefited from this over and over and over again, from the fig tree to the monstera, to the lemon, to the spice plants, and now we've got the snake plant. Everything we've gotten from Fast Growing Trees has been first rate, and we could not be happier.
It's that time of year. You want to think about Christmas trees. Why not have a tree on your property or in your yard or in your house year round? Whether you've got a big yard, a small yard, or no yard, with more than 6,000 plants, from indoor greens to fruit trees to tall privacy trees, Fast Growing Trees has you covered. Their 14-point quality checklist means each plant gets the care that it needs, from watering to sunlight, so it will arrive healthy and ready to grow in your yard or house. And remember, all plants and trees are grown right here in the United States by American farmers.
This season, get the best deals for your yard, including up to half off tons of plants and other deals. Plus, get 15% off your next purchase when using the code Martini at checkout. That's 15% off your next purchase at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code Martini at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. All right, Jim, we've referred to this from time to time that there are baseless conspiracy theories happening, mainly from Candace Owens, but certainly coming from other places as well, that somehow the murder of Charlie Kirk was an inside job by the people of Turning Point USA. No evidence for this whatsoever, of course. Erika Kirk has also been implicated in the mind of Candace Owens. So Erika Kirk is finally speaking out on this. She was on Outnumbered on Fox News Channel yesterday. I believe she was also on The Five. This particular set of clips is from Outnumbered. Here's what she has to say about this.
Come after me. Call me names. I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole. Whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus.
So you want to put these people back in the box where they've been creeping from?
I don't care what box you're in. But just know that your words are very powerful, and we are human. My team are not machines, and they're not robots. They are human. We have more death threats on our team and our side than I have ever seen. I have kidnapping threats. You name it, we have it. And my poor team is exhausted, and every time they bring this back up, what are we supposed to do, relive that trauma all over again? They watched my husband get murdered. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I was there that day. And thank the good Lord that I did not have to see that happen. But my team, they are rocked to the core. So why every single day do they have to be dragged through the mud, analyzed, hyper-analyzed?
Yeah, it's been 3 months since Charlie Kirk was murdered, and for most of that time, Candace Owens and a couple of others have consistently pushed this ridiculous conspiracy theory. And as soon as Erika Kirk's comments came out yesterday, Candace Owens is out, oh, I was giving her the benefit of the doubt, but now that she said that, oh, no, this just makes it go even deeper. So she's only going to milk it as long as she possibly can. Absolutely sick.
Yeah,
but good for Erika Kirk. That's why it's a good martini.
Yes,
calling her out and nailing it.
She shouldn't have to do this. People saying they hadn't heard Erika Kirk like this before. My distinguished colleague, Catherine Lopez, who hired me way back in the day, one of the sweetest people I know, one of the kindest and gentlest and nicest, and an extremely devout Catholic, dropped the H word, as in what the hell is going on? Like, this is like watching a Vulcan swear. This is like watching somebody who is like, this is like Mother Teresa flipping over the tables and throwing punches or something. This is really not, and I think it is absolutely a righteous anger here. By the way, I would point out that one of her tirades about these vast conspiracy, Candace Owens asserted that everyone who was wearing maroon at the large memorial service for Charlie Kirk was in on the conspiracy. This was how they were communicating to each other. Unsurprised, not just because of the crazy martini. Often for thriller writing, I research mental health and mental issues, psychology, stuff like that. An obsession with color is often a sign of paranoid schizophrenia. I'm just going to point that out. I'm just going to put that out there for people to draw any conclusions that they like. And also Tucker Carlson has said he's on board with some of the Candace Owens conspiracy thinking.
Yep.
There. One of the reasons our political discourse. But the other thing last thought was that the New York Times wrote a profile of Jennifer Welch, who is this left-wing podcaster type who's apparently the next big thing. She had ripped into Erika Kirk really badly. And but this is the worst profile of an obnoxious, entitled, uninformed blonde person since, I guess Olivia Nuzzi about a month ago. So this is just, reset the counter. It has been 0 days since we've glamorized someone who doesn't deserve it. But I look at all this and I just kind of think the algorithm doesn't distinguish between good reactions and bad reactions. And as a result of that, it rewards controversy. And I suspect that is why you see some people going out there and saying the most provocative and crazy things. Milo said the other day he doesn't think Charlie Kirk was killed. There's a possibility that he wasn't. We all saw it. We all try to erase that from our memories, this traumatic vision of him being shot in the neck. No. It's all conspiracy. So I think some people watch this and genuinely believe. I think some people watch this under the old Howard Stern thing on the radio. They can't wait to see what this person is going to say next. I still think that kind of feeds into it, though. And I think this is just, remarkably toxic. It's terrible that Erika Kirk has to do this. I'm kind of glad she did. Because as much as all of us ought to stand up for her, and honestly, by the way, if some left-wing figure had been assassinated and the widow started getting grief and conspiracy theories, I like to think we'd all be every bit as objective. No, stop harassing people who are in mourning. What the hell's wrong with you? So good for Erika Kirk. This ideally would drive a stake into this, but terrible people, feel the need for this. I guess in the end, they have greed where their conscience used to be. So, yeah, that's our good martini, everybody.
Well, yeah, her righteous indignation is the good martini, not what Candace Owens is doing. And Candace is kind of a shapeshifter. She started on the left, then moved to the right, and then now with her anti-Israel comments.
Oh, sure, Greg. Now you're saying she's a shapeshifter. All right, more conspiracy. She's a T-1000.
Figuratively.
Now, have we seen her and Robert Patrick in the same room at the same time? I don't think so.
Figuratively. She's a human being, but her ideology shapeshifts to a large extent.
So you're saying she's not a lizard person? I just want to check.
I'm saying she's not a lizard person. Okay. But what she's saying right now has a huge audience, unfortunately, and that is probably more concerning in some ways than what she's actually saying, that there's actually people who want to hear that and believe it. So, well, this is appropriate. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And when it comes to the Christmas season, there's so much you have to do. You got the gifts, you got the baking, you got the cooking, you've got the decorating, and you've got the concerts, and you got the caroling, and you got the Christmas programs at the schools and so forth. And so a lot to do, but also you need to take time for yourself and make sure that anything you're struggling with, personal, professional, BetterHelp's here to help.
Greg, if there's anything our podcast proves day after day, that there are so many people out there who desperately need better help. And BetterHelp, like both 2 words and 1 word. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. And with more than 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, having served more than 5 million people globally. And it works for most people. The average rating is 4.9 out of 5, with a live session based on more than 1.7 million client reviews.
That's really good. So this December, start a new tradition by taking care of you. Our listeners get 10% off at betterhelp.com/3ml. That's better, HELP.com/3ml. All right, Jim, on to our bad martini now. And this was actually part of the big, beautiful bill originally, but it got taken out. But President Trump is still insistent on one set of rules for AI regulation. Politico with the story. President Trump said he will issue an executive order this week establishing a single national artificial intelligence standard so the U.S. can continue to lead on AI. Quote, quote, I will be doing a one rule executive order this week. You can't expect a company to get 50 approvals every time they want to do something, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post Monday morning. Quote, we are beating all countries at this point in the race, but that won't last long if we're going to have 50 states, many of them bad actors, involved in rules and the approval process. A draft executive order blocking state AI laws was leaked in November. It sparked debate over the U.S. government's role in regulating the emerging technology and whether a federal standard should preempt state and local laws. Now, last week, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis unveiled a Bill of Rights for individuals in his state. It's kind of a liberties protections from AI intrusion potentially into those liberties. And so he is not enjoying this one-size-fits-all approach. He said on Monday the Trump administration's ability to restrict states like Florida from regulating artificial intelligence is not good, and he's pushing Florida to enact AI protections for residents during the upcoming legislative session. So we could get a fight between states and the federal government here. So what do you make? I think Trump has a point that 50 cents of negotiations would certainly slow things down a little bit, but I also think personal liberties are more important.
Yeah, so for a long time, Republicans have been accused of being fair weather federalists, that they believe in states' rights and states setting the policies on issues, and then for other ones, when it really is important to them, they want the federal government to set the policy the way they want nationwide. I think it's safe to say that Donald Trump, his instincts are not to be a federalist. He wants things done his way, if not 9 times, maybe 99 times out of 100, but 9 times out of 10, right? I see the objection here. I see the complications, but also, we have a court system. And let's say a state enacts an AI-related law that infringes upon the First Amendment in some way. Well, you can take them to court, you can challenge them, and the courts will let you know whether that's the case. I don't like a bunch of the administration's policies when it comes to AI stuff. I think this stuff is growing and changing so quickly. It is very understandable that people are wary about it. And if you were going to have some sort of national restriction saying, states, you don't get to regulate this, you don't have any authority over this, at minimum, I'd still have a problem if it was done through federal law, but at least for that, it would be passing through 2 houses of Congress and signed into law by the president. And then every state will have gotten a way to weigh in the form of their representatives or states. The idea of an executive order, just saying, I've decided states can't regulate this. No, this is not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And it just seems like a temper tantrum from the president that you need to make a much better case for why a state does no right to regulate over this sort of thing. I mean, first of all of this is interstate commerce, which gives certainly the federal government plenty of property. I suppose you make an argument of, well, I'm an AI company in California. Why does Oklahoma get to regulate the sort of stuff that I can do? But I believe they'd just be regulating what your company can do to people who are using your AI product in Oklahoma. But either way, this is for the courts to hash out. This should not be set by the President of the United States, dashed off on an executive order. President's wrong. This is not good. It's going to end up in court. And my suspicion is that governors like Ron DeSantis will end up being the winning side. Because, again, if you're going to make a decision like this, it can't just be from the president. They can't just unilaterally decide, yeah, states, you have no power in this area. I've decided it.
Yeah, and DeSantis is essentially saying the same thing. Also in Politico, quoted as saying an executive order doesn't and can't preempt state legislative action. Congress could theoretically preempt states through legislation, but he says the problem is that Congress hasn't proposed any coherent regulatory scheme, but instead just wanted to block states from doing anything for 10 years, which would be AI amnesty. He says he doubts Congress has the votes to pass such a thing because it's so unpopular with the public. And so that's another thing, is that we haven't heard what the federal regulations would be. And it's almost impossible to say for 10 years you can't touch this stuff, because we don't know what's going to happen in a month or two on AI, Jim, much less a decade.
Absolutely correct. And part of me looks at that and says, okay, well, maybe you want the states, the laboratories of democracy. Maybe having 50 different policies isn't such a bad thing, because then you get to see how these policies work. So, does one really help innovation go down and one really hurts innovation? Does one, because there are so many unknowns here. And if Congress is saying, well, look, putting together a federal policy would take a long time and we don't really, there's a lot of conflicting interests, we can't sort this out. Okay. But just because you guys can't figure it out doesn't mean state legislatures can't figure it out. Or at least you can't let it, they should be allowed to try. If it ends up being a major problem, all right, we can, first of all, that's what courts are for. But two, we can try that. But at this point, the idea of just saying, well, this is off the table. This is arguably one of the most important technological innovations to come down since the creation of the internet. And the attitude is, no state is allowed to regulate it at all. Really? That's how we're going to work this out? Yeah, it's not going to work out this way.
Yeah, that's just not smart at all. So we'll see what happens as that fight plays out. In the meantime, let's talk about making life appropriate and successful for your business. Running a business on a clunky old phone system is like competing with one hand tied behind your back. And every time you miss a call, that's money left on the table. Quo, spelled Q-U-O, is the modern alternative built to help you work smarter, build stronger relationships, and never miss an opportunity. Because that's what your business and your customers deserve.
Greg, when you have one hand tied behind your back, it's much harder to answer the phone.
True.
Quo is the #1 business phone system that's built for the challenges of 2025, not 1995. Rated the top choice for customer satisfaction with more than 3,000 reviews on G2. It's not just a phone system, it's a smart system. It's got built-in AI that logs calls, but what if the states want to regulate that? Well, we discussed that in our previous Martini. It can write summaries, it can even set up your next steps. So if you can't answer the phone, Quo's AI agent can, qualifying leads, routing calls to the right person, and making sure no customer is ever left hanging.
Yeah, make sure that you're not losing customers and your competitors are gaining them. So try Quo for free when you go to quo.com/3ML. That's QUO.com/3ML. You can even keep your existing number. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, Jim, this third martini has certainly a sports flavor to it, but it's not really about sports. The premise, though, is that Philip Rivers, who for many years was a quarterback of the San Diego and then Los Angeles Chargers in his final year with the Indianapolis Colts, retired in January of 2021, or he last played in a playoff game in January of 2021. He's 44 years old, and now he's been brought back on, at least to the Colts practice squad, and he might play quarterback because they've just had so many injuries at that position. Now, that might be a little bit crazy in and of itself, since he hasn't played in 5 years. He's been a high school coach. He's coaching his son and so forth. But every time Philip Rivers is in the news, this happened while he was playing, and it's certainly happening again now, the online world is just absolutely mocking the guy because he has 10 kids. And I don't understand why that is, but the news comes out that he's on the practice squad, and you've got people just... Some people are joking about, some people are almost angry about the fact. And so the joke consistently is, well, he's got 10 kids. Of course, he wants to get out of the house again. So you got one person saying Philip Rivers pulling himself out of retirement because he got tired of raising 10 kids. Another person said the only reason Philip Rivers is coming out of retirement is time away from 10 children and at least one grandchild. Yes, he is a grandfather now. Mm-hmm. He needs a break. And one of the more disgusting ones is that he's got, I think 7 girls out of the 10 kids. And so this woman says, there's some serious PMS in that house and it's driving him crazy enough to go back to the NFL. And so, Jim, first of all, we should stipulate, because it's important when it's an NFL player, all 10 kids are with the same woman. This is not an Antonio Cromartie, Travis Henry situation. So you got to give him credit for that. They're obviously getting along very well. He's a good dad. As kids say that he's very involved. He's, devout Catholic. And for some reason, people just are just horrified by the idea of big families. I think that's way more normal than the childless harpies, as I said yesterday in our email exchange, like Afton Bain, who think having children at all is just anathema. You know, most people don't want all the way up to 10 kids, but if they do, so what?
Greg, I am as appalled as anyone, and no one should be rooting against Phillip Rivers because of the size of his family. They should be rooting against Phillip Rivers because the Jets have the Colts' #1 draft pick this year. Right now, it's about the teens. If the Colts miss the playoffs, then it's much better for the Jets. So that's why you should be rooting against this guy. By the way, like I think this is a fascinating story in a whole bunch of different ways, and some part of me will indeed be pulling for Rivers to demonstrate that it can still be done in the ripe old age of the mid-40s. But I also point out that the last time Phil Rivers threw a pass, most Americans could not get the COVID-19 vaccine. Right. It's just think about that's an old controversy. Never mind that. So look, they're not expecting him to go out and start. They're going to lead on the running game. He's probably going to be able to do all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of nice just to show that somebody, still has it. Also, he's coaching high school football, right? So it's not like he's been completely away from the game. And Greg, when you have 10 kids, that's like an offense right there. That's like you have full 11 people, go out there and do that stuff. I will recall, and I looked it up. It was a game against the Cincinnati Bengals a couple kids ago for Rivers. He was up against Joe Burrow, who was at that point, I believe, either a rookie or very young. It was only at age 23. And so far in the season, talking about career, yards, Rivers was way ahead. Passing touchdowns, he's way ahead. Rushing touchdowns, even at this point, Rivers didn't throw a lot, but he had 3 rushing touchdowns to Burrow in his career too. But perhaps most importantly, at that point, Rivers was ahead 9-0 in kids, and that's now Burrow's had some years to catch up there. This was, by the way, this was in a Fox graphic. For some reason, that was the last statistic they listed there. Look, you and I would agree children are a blessing. We have significantly smaller families than Phillip Rivers does, but it's not like he's, these kids are starving. He's doing fine. Although I point out, I do think it's an economic indicator, Greg, that even grandfathers have to come out of retirement and and go back to work. I had said that his trash talk is going to be, man, I bet my next Social Security check you can't cover my receiver. A lot of folks say that a guy at his age is going to be, injury prone. But my colleague Charlie Kirk pointed out this is not a huge cost for the Colts. Medicare is going to cover a lot of that. So, it's funny, but you know what? Good for him. It's not unlike Antonio Cromartie. My understanding is that Rivers knows the names of all of his children and can remember all. In Cromartie's defense, it's a lot. So that's just keep in mind. That's I have 2 and I mix up their names every now and then. So it's my fault for picking very Irish names, but. So, look, good luck, Phillip Rivers. Don't let any of the haters get to you. Don't let any of this grief. Children are a blessing. And, who knows? My guess is, I remember correctly, the Atlanta Falcons, I want to say it was 98. They had an injury, and I think they brought Steve DeBerg out of retirement. And DeBerg played pretty, and he played decent. So, look, this is a quarterback-hungry league. People get hurt all the time. And everybody said, Jim, you're just making jokes about this because you're jealous because, the Jets don't have a good quarterback. We're bringing Namath out of retirement. So, it's you got a terrific chance for a reverse mortgage or whatever it is, or buy gold or whatever commercials he's featuring
Medicare
in
enrollment.
Days.
Yeah. And so
Roll Tide.
Rivers is very close to the coach of the Colts. He runs the same offense at the high school that the Colts run, so that's part of why it's happening. It's just weird that so many people are offended by large families. Bethany and Seth Mandel get this all the time. They've got, 6 kids, I think, where they go around, and she talks pretty frequently about the weird looks and the weird questions that she gets. I mean, we're having a population crisis. Phillip Rivers is doing his part. Where are some of these other people who think that we can't have kids because of the climate or whatever other garbage that they throw out there? So I think they're the weird ones, not the people who have large families and are good families.
Greg, the Mandels just get grief because one of them's named Acura or Miata or whatever. By the way, their daughter is not named. They've used that as a nickname for the one that was born in a car because they couldn't get to the hospital in time. God bless the Mandels. Life is good. So yes,
it's unbelievable. So we'll see what happens. I think he'd be the first person that's a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame to
Yeah,
then
yeah,
have that stripped away because it would reset the clock if he's activated.
We've
So
seen
we'll
coaches
find
in the
out.
Hall of Fame come out of retirement and start coaching again, but so it'd be kind of fun. But kind of like he's cold on the sidelines, he puts on the gold jacket, kind of stuff.
Yes, so he wasn't in yet. It was his first year of eligibility, I think. So anyway, will be fun to watch. We'll see if he actually gets activated and if they actually need him. But anyway, Jim, have a great day. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity, National Review. I'm Greg Condemns of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. Please be sure to subscribe to our podcast. If you don't already, tell your friends about us as well. Thanks also for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews. Please keep those coming. They really do help us. Get us on your home devices. All you have to say is play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. Follow us both on X. He's at Jim Garrity. I'm at Greg Condemns. And follow 3 Martini Lunch on Facebook and Instagram. Have a great Thursday and join us again Friday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.